On the night of March 14, 2019, a convenience store in a small township received a silent alarm at 11:47 p.m. The alarm was triggered by the front door sensor. The store had closed at 11 p.m. When police arrived at 11:52, the lights were still on inside. The door was locked from the outside. Officer Daniels checked the perimeter. No broken windows, no signs of forced entry. Through the glass, the register appeared untouched. The manager, Kenneth Breyer, arrived with keys at 12:03 a.m. He unlocked the door. Everything inside was in order. The register had been counted and closed properly. The back door was locked from the inside. The storage room was undisturbed. Officer Daniels asked if anyone else had keys. Breyer said no, just him and the assistant manager. The assistant manager had left at 10:55 p.m. She confirmed this in her statement. Security footage was reviewed on site. The camera above the register showed the assistant manager locking the front door at 10:56 p.m. She walked out of frame. The timestamp continued. 10:58, 11:03, 11:15. At 11:34 p.m. The back hallway camera showed movement. A figure walked from the storage room toward the front of the store. The person wore a dark jacket and moved slowly. He did not look at the camera. At 11:35, the figure appeared on the front register camera for 4 seconds. They stood near the magazine rack, then they walked toward the door. At 11:47, the door sensor activated. The figure was not seen leaving on any camera. Breyer was asked if anyone had been in the storage room. He said no. The deliveries had come that morning. No one had been scheduled in the back. Officer Daniels walked to the storage room. The space was small. Shelves lined both walls. Boxes stacked to shoulder height. There was no other exit. Daniels checked behind the shelves. Nothing. The assistant manager was called. She said she had locked the back door herself before leaving. She did not check the storage room. She said she had no reason to. The figure on the footage was reviewed again. The clothing did not match any employee uniform. Height was difficult to estimate. At 11:36 p.m., the hallway camera showed the figure returning to the storage room. They did not come out again. The door sensor logs were checked. The back door had not been opened since 6:22 p.m. The front door had not been opened between 10:56 p.m. and 11:47 p.m. Officer Daniels returned to the storage room with Breyer. They moved boxes. They checked behind every shelf. The room was empty. Breyer was asked if there was anywhere someone could hide. He said no. The ceiling was solid. There were no vents large enough for a person. A second officer arrived. They searched the entire store together. No one was found. The footage was sent to the county sheriff's office. A detective reviewed it the following day. She noted that the figure's gait suggested familiarity with the space. The figure did not hesitate at corners. They did not search for exits. The detective requested employment records going back to years. Breyer provided them on March 16th. 11 people had worked at the store during that time. All were contacted. None recognized the figure in the footage. All had alibis for that night. The detective asked Breyer if there had been any recent terminations. He said no. The last employee to leave had been in September. It was a student who went back to school. That person was interviewed. They had been 2 states away on March 14th. On March 20th, forensic team examined the storage room. No fingerprints were found that did not belong to current employees. No shoe prints, no foreign material. The boxes that had been stacked near the back wall were checked for tampering. They had not been moved. The detective reviewed the footage a third time at 11:46 p.m. 1 minute before the alarm, the hallway camera briefly lost focus. It refocused 3 seconds later. The figure was not visible in that window. The technical team stated this was consistent with a temporary voltage drop. It was not uncommon. Breyer was asked if he wanted to change the locks. He said he would. The detective closed her. Report on April 2nd, 2019. No suspect was identified. No theft had occurred. No damage had been reported. The case was classified as trespassing. No charges were filed. Breyer installed 2 additional cameras in May, one facing the storage room entrance, One covering the back hallway at a lower angle, he told the sheriff's office. He wanted a clearer view if it happened again. It did not happen again. The store continued normal operations. In June, a delivery driver mentioned to Breyer, the back hallway felt colder than the rest of the building. Breyer checked the ventilation. It was functioning normally. The assistant manager left her position in August for unrelated reasons. Her replacement was trained by Breyer. He did not mention the incident. The footage from March 14th remained in the sheriff's office records. No further review was requested. On December 3, 2019, Breyer sold the store to a regional chain. The new owners were not informed of the incident. The storage room was renovated in January 2020. The layout was changed. Shelving was replaced. The security tapes from 2019 were archived according to standard protocol. The door sensor logs were not preserved, Officer. Daniels retired in 2021. In a brief interview, he said he still thought about that night. He said he had checked the storage room 3 times, he said. There was nowhere for anyone to go. The detective moved to a different county in 2022 when asked. She said the case stayed with her. Not because of what was found, because nothing was. The convenience store had been built in 1998. The building inspector's records showed no structural anomalies. The foundation was standard concrete slab. The walls were framed with steel studs and drywall. There were no basements in that area. The water table was too high. Breyer had managed the store since 2015. He said he had never noticed anything unusual before that night. He said the store was quiet most evenings, regular customers, no trouble. The night shift had been discontinued in 2017. Closing time moved to 11 p.m. It had stayed that way since down October 2019. A journalist from a local paper contacted the sheriff's office. They were writing a piece on unsolved incidents. The sheriff declined to provide details. The case file was marked inactive. No article was published. Breyer was contacted by the same journalist. He also declined to comment. He said he wanted to move on. The figure in the footage was never identified. No. Similar incidents were reported at other locations in the county. The alarm company reviewed their records in late March. The door sensor had functioned correctly. The signal was logged at exactly 11:47 p.m. There was no malfunction. No false trigger. Something had opened the door. The current owner of the property was asked about the history of the building in 2023. They said the store had performed well. No complaints from staff. No issues with security. They said they were not aware of anything unusual. When asked if employees ever mentioned the back hallway, they paused. They said one worker had asked to be reassigned from closing shifts. The reason given was personal scheduling. The storage room is still used for inventory, deliveries. Arrive twice a week. The door is kept locked when not in use. The lights are checked every night. Before closing, no one works alone in that area anymore.